News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Welcome to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning.
I'm Allan Gilbreth, the Dark Oak Press.media.
And I'm Maximilian. Wow. And I'm Maximilian. And Joe, I want to wish your cat, Victor Thorderson, a very happy belated third birthday.
Oh, well, boy, it's a little creepy, Max, that you're that intimately knowledgeable of what's going on at my house. But thanks, Max. I appreciate it. So, well, in fairness, Allan, we talked quite a bit about Victor when we rescued him.
We do. Your cat is. Your cat is quite the content contributor.
Yeah, everybody that comes over loves Victor, and he loves them. He thinks everybody's there to see him. So, all right, well thanks, Max.
Aren't they?
Absolutely.
It's a cat.
If you want to wish Victor a happy birthday, you can call. And we should say Victor is spelled with a K. You know, the cool spelling, like kind of a Viking sort of spelling. So anyway, you can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. We also invite you to go over to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page. I've made a couple of posts over there you can check out and like the page and share the page. And then, while you're on Facebook, scoot on over to the News Talk 98.9 The Roar Facebook page and watch the show on the Royal Retreat studio cams, which, once again, I'm really loving the new paint color. It's really grown on me, Allan, and the lighting. The lighting is really just top-notch here. I like it. Feels like a real kind of old-school radio station in here.
Well, we have our options. We can go with landing airplanes.
Yeah.
Or we can go with the more intimate settings.
Absolutely. Yep. So, well, you know who I hope likes it as well, because he hasn't seen the new paint color in here yet, is our good buddy Jay Hill with Big M Roofing and Remodeling. He'll be in the house shortly. And it's fun, too. Allan, I'm working on a project in Midtown with Jay. I know you got Jay on speed dial. You're always having him.
Oh, yes.
But this is one of these new constructions, and it's always interesting starting from scratch and designing something around, good, function and everything like that. So we're going to talk about that. So, Allan, in Allan's Week in Review, it sounds like it's all about preventative. It sounds like you're trying to get ready for the winter ahead of the curve and not have any the goal for Allan Gilbreth's winter is to not get any calls of burst water lines.
Oh,
is
my
that right?
gosh, yes.
Okay. And we're going to keep things close to home, Allan. In our great moments in building history, we need a little good Memphis news. So we're going to talk about really a masterpiece of repurposing. I think that's a good way to describe it. The Crosstown Concourse. My interest, I don't know about you, my interest isn't so much in, the history of the place or whatever. It's more about the community they've created over there. And I'll be real honest, Allan, I was a naysayer right out of the gate. I never thought this would work. However, I was happy to be proven wrong. But that's a good conversation, I think. So, let's see what else. I don't want to over tease, Allan, but we do have sort of a call to. I guess this would be a call to action for our listeners. Really, we would love to hear from you on this. We want to know. Everybody's got a honey-do list. And we want to know, what is the one item on there that is maybe it's been there for years, or it's just to you it seems very daunting, and it's an item you just don't want to get to. And maybe text us or call us, let us know what it is. Maybe it's not as a lot of times, Allan, it's not as daunting as you think it would be. And maybe there's a few steps that are that we can kind of help you with, but we'd love to hear from you regardless, because I have a sense I can guess what some of them might be, but we want to hear from you. So get in touch with us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline, 901-683-0989, and let us know, what is that one item, maybe one or two items you've got on your list that you've just been dreading, and let's help push you across the finish line. But, Allan, before we get to any of that, I have something to talk about.
So it's a happy topic.
Very oddly appropriate, Max. That's pretty good. So I'm going to call this a novelty plumbing cautionary tale. How's that? So, let's see, Allan. So my wife and I, our bathroom faucet is starting to get on our nerves, right? It's one of those where great music too, Max. I like this. But It's got a hot and cold faucet to it, right? The
One
cold
would assume,
water,
right?
Well, no, not always. Sometimes they have a single handle, which is where we're going to anyway. But the cold water has had that constant thing where you turn it on, water leaks from under the handle, so it's running out onto the sink and everything.
Okay, so you've actually got a break inside the faucet itself.
Yeah, I can fix it easy enough and whatever. Nah. And then I've got it's got a little drip, so I was gonna change the washers. And my wife saw that as a perfect opportunity. She said, "Well, let's just get a new faucet." And I said, "All right, I don't care. It's a little dated. We don't care." So we our new thing is trying to go we're more minimalist these days, but also we like to try to do something that makes more of a statement. So we're thinking, okay, well, let's just get a faucet that looks cool and simple. So we did. So what we found was, now this is interesting, Alan. So we went with the single handle. So there's a single handle on top of it. And then there is the spigot comes out. But what we did to be extra modern and interesting was we had the spigot, if you can picture, Alan, is sort of flat. And instead of kicking out a round stream of water, it's almost like a waterfall. It is a long, thin stream of water.
Yeah.
Well, there were a couple of problems, Alan. Let's start with the top. So the hook for us too was this thing was only $47 online, which I immediately was I was thinking there's got to be a reason this is so cheap, right? And we're like, well, you know what? If we don't like it, we're out $47. So I got it installed. First of all, the water lines underneath it was the kind where they are attached to the faucet.
Right.
You can't just go to your big box store and upgrade and get better. You're stuck with what they got. And they were El Cheapo. They were just, I couldn't get them to stop leaking. Anyway, turn the water on because I had already hooked it up. I wanted to see how this thing worked. And it worked great. It came out, the water comes out kind of like a waterfall. However, if you want any water pressure at all, you turn it up and suddenly this gentle waterfall kind of converged and merged together and caused this kind of at the bottom, like a high pressure stream.
Was it Mega
water.
Stream?
Yeah, like Mega Stream. And it splashed just at the right trajectory where it gets on your, let's just say it hits you in the midsection and gets your pants all wet and everything. So it didn't work, man.
No.
And it looked cool. It admittedly looked great, but I wanted to caution people that doesn't, and there's probably a reason if you're shopping online why something is $47 instead of $120 or whatever the right price should be. So,
well,
we returned it and
my logic is that too. It's like this sort of novel design and everything. It's like the VHS effect. It's not necessarily like that it's super expensive, but it's like the VHS was a new concept at its time, but it took a while for you to iron out the kinks of the new invention. That's the same thing with a design like that for the sink.
I think you're right, Max. So, a little cautionary tale. You get what you pay for, basically.
You do indeed.
All right. Hey, Alan, speaking of water, let's keep the conversation like that when we come back here and talk about Alan's Week in Review.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Call Poison Control if you're bit by a spider, but check that it's covered by your healthcare provider.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Okay. I can handle a spider bite on my own, Allan. I'm not that big of a wimp. I don't know about you. Anyway, don't look at me that way. What
kind of spider I put in your shop?
Okay. And we'll come back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. We also invite you to go over to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page, check out the posts we've made over there, like the page and share the page. And then while you're over on Facebook, scoot on over to the News Talk 98.9 The Roar Facebook page and watch the show on the Royal Retreat studio cams. And if you are watching the show, you'll notice that we have a guest that got here early, Allan. If it sounds like I'm a little out of breath, it's because Jay is 15 minutes early, and I had to literally run to the door across the building, Jay, to let you in before the break, and get you back in. But Hey, we take, Jay shows up when he wants to show up. I mean, that's kind of
a good thing.
The way he rolls. So, but Jay, I'm looking forward to talking to you today. Among other things, you and I are working on a project, and we're going to talk about that.
Yes.
In Midtown. But hey, before we get to that, we teased it before the break. So, Max, let's do this now.
Oh, the humanity.
That sound can only mean one thing. We're going to talk about, we're going to talk to Allan about what he did this week. And, if you're new to Tool Talk Radio, you should know Allan has a wide-ranging skill set, but also he has a wide range of duties that he's required to do each week. So we always check in and see kind of what he was up to. And this week, Allan, it sounds like it's all about water pipe bursting prevention or something. I don't know. It sounds like you're doing some new stuff over there.
Well, there are about 3 different places, 3 different jobs, and I'm going to start with the one that was nearest to my heart. Was a gentleman had a washing machine overflow several months back, and he has an older home.
Okay.
And he has an amazing wood floor.
Oh boy!
We are talking the kind of floor
you're going for.
You are not going to get again.
Yeah.
This floor is a minimum of 70 years old.
Oh boy!
Minimum. It could not possibly be a day younger.
Yeah.
And what happened, of course, is water got underneath, and it created the wooden floor tent.
That bad, huh?
So a couple of spots, and I mean, this thing was popped up about 4 inches.
So they just came loose, huh?
Well,
wait, are we talking? Let's get specific. Are we talking? How? So we're talking an oak floor, I'm guessing, something like that. And how big are the planks? How many inches?
The planks are the 3-inch planks, and they're about a foot long.
And I'm guessing they're about 3/4 thick, right?
Oh yeah, this beautiful, beautiful. And of course, the wood swole, and then the positioning changed as it popped up.
Yeah.
And the poor guy has had this tent literally in the center of his doorway now for a while.
That's a pretty severe.
And so I went over last night and we're looking at it and kind of fiddling around with it. And happily, because of its age, it was relatively loose. It's more or less a floating floor now.
I was going to say, was it glued down?
Was it
nailed
originally.
in?
It was originally glued, thank goodness. And so I started working with it, and the slats started kind of coming apart. And so we played Tetris. And we kind of pulled it apart, and we got rid of the big tent, so he hasn't got a huge trip hazard right in the middle of his doorway.
Yeah.
And we've got it laid down nice and flat for now. The difference is, of course, the floor has now shifted. So he doesn't have the exact same amount of space that he had originally.
Wait, I'm sorry. Is this over concrete? You're talking about a slab. Is this,
right.
What is this over?
Slab
is this
house.
Directly over? Because there should be some sort of
lining
or
subfloor. Back in them days when they slapped the glue down on the concrete.
Well, there was nothing back then. There was nothing back then. There was not any water.
There was.
I've seen all sorts of stuff. Am I wrong? I thought I've seen a hardwood floor over like tar paper.
You have?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
like
not
a moisture
this case.
barrier type thing?
Right.
So, okay.
Not this case.
Wow. Wait,
No.
This came from a leaking washing machine?
The washing machine leaked in the other room and got under the floor.
Holy
The floor
smokes.
absorbed the water, popped up, made a huge tent. However, it's now been a while since they got the water issue taken care of, so the floor has dried out.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, the spacing has shifted.
Gosh.
So what we're going to end up doing ultimately is we're going to have a floor party.
Okay.
There's going to be some pizza, and there's going to be a lot of knee pads. And what we're going to do is we're just going to shift the slats, since we can get them loose. We're just going to shift the gap over to the far wall.
Okay. I see where you're going. And then when you get to, so you're basically realigning it, and then when you get to the end, that's where, if there's any imperfections or if it's out of line,
it's going to get
not
hit
as
under
noticeable.
the baseboard. You know.
Now,
So-
I wonder if our friend Robbie is listening.
I
and
was
what
going to
he's
say
thinking.
the very same thing. I said, we have
It's like
got a specialist
Robbie,
in that area.
you probably need to give me a call, man.
Yeah.
But
You lucked out, though,
but
that it's
this
so
floor
loose.
is
right?
beautiful.
I've never seen anybody any better than Robbie. Man,
I'm just looking at this floor and I went, oh, we cannot tear this out.
No.
Please, I'm sitting there as I'm looking at it as I walked in and there's this literally a 4-inch tent sitting there. I'm like, oh, please tell me we don't have to tear this out because it's just beautiful. And I got down there and I went, no, it's just loose enough with a little persuasion. We can save this floor and get it repositioned. And we might have to trim a few slats down here and there to, kind of get the floor back positioned like it should.
Yeah.
But it was just, in my heart, I was just like, oh, please don't tell me I got to tear this out. Because it is, honestly, it's one of those floors, Joe, professional woodworker, you walk in, you look at it, and you go, oh, somebody did a nice job on this.
And they probably, you could never recreate that patina
no.
and the aging and the whatever. So,
no,
wow.
it is just gorgeous.
And they probably took good care of it, it sounds like.
They did. And that's why we were working on that, which kind of oddly tied back into a job I did over the weekend last week.
Okay.
And I got introduced to the new PEX system, not what your autocorrect will put in, because it'll put in Plex.
Yours put in Flex. When we were texting last night, Alan, I said, "What is the whatever?"
What is this? Is it flexible?
No, you put PLEX. That's right.
Well,
yeah,
the
I didn't know what it
autocorrect
was.
went from PEX to PLEX.
Right.
And then you were like, "Is that Flex?" And it's like, "Well, it is actually the new flexible plumbing."
Now we're talking the water line, not the drain.
We're talking the water lines, right? Water
it's
lines
under pressure.
coming in.
It's like it seems like that would be hard to make flexible because
there's
too flexible.
There's
like
a wonderful.
yeah.
There's several new products under the PEX, which is a crossed. There's a crossed fiber, and it's a poly. It is a poly product, so it is a semi-flexible hose.
And it's designed to avoid.
It is
burst
designed
pipes.
to not burst.
Nice. We could have used that last winter,
Oh
man.
my
Look how many
gosh!
burst pipes we hit.
This is the first time I've used this particular exact product, and I discovered it does not like to cut.
Oh, really?
Wow, this stuff is tough.
Really?
I'm down there with a hacksaw. I mean, I got a little rubber hose in my hand, right? I'm like, hacksaw. 3 seconds, I'll have this baby done. I'll throw this compression fitting on it, and we'll be moving along.
You can't use a pipe cutter, the kind that you...
Well, they actually make a special PEX cutter that I'm going to have to order to finish this job because I'm with this hacksaw.
They learned that from the folks with the cell phones and the chargers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You get the specialty one.
Oh, yeah. I'm down there just,
And you don't want a frayed edge or anything. You got to make sure it's straight.
Exactly. So here I am with the water pressure off, but it's still, there's always going to be a drip or two going on. And so I'm down there with my razor blade trying to trim the edge up nice and pretty to get the compression fitting on it. So the 3-minute job I thought I had was 30 minutes, but it was very educational.
Alan, I'm sorry, but the bigger part to me, I'm glad you were successful, is this the notion of flexible water lines. Because, I mean, obviously under a sink or something, you have the water, that little small 12-inch thing, but what are we talking here? Because you said this is sort of a new product. I haven't used it yet, so is this brand new? I mean,
PEX tubing, water tubing, has been around since like the 30s or 40s.
Okay.
All
right.
But the new cross fibers and anti-burst technologies are all just now kind of really getting on the market. And this was not something you could run down to your big box store and get.
Okay.
Had to order it from the plumbing supply company, and
Okay.
I mean, this is a very high end product, but the house we're putting this on has a crawl space.
So they got lots of exposure
so there's
to
air going to be underneath this building, and it was kind of like, well, I think it's worth it. Let's give it a shot.
Yeah.
And so far, I'm very pleased with the product, but it is like everything else new. There's a little bit of a learning curve to using it effectively.
It's interesting to me, Alan, because when I think about it, if you look, every time I've ever dealt with a burst pipe, it's always like a copper line.
Yes.
And when you look at the crack that basically just flooded your house, it's usually tiny. It might be 3/4 of an inch.
Exactly.
And it looks like nothing. You could even miss it, like where you don't see it. So if the water lines have just that little bit of extra give to them,
Yes.
that could save a lot of people a lot of money.
That is what I am severely hoping in this house.
Okay, that sounds cool. I definitely so it's like a PVC material or something, or is it?
No, it would remind you more of really super duper aquarium hose.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to be we're going to definitely be following this stuff with great interest. So, hey, you're listening to Tool Talk Radio here at News Talk 98.9 The Roar, Memphis. We're going to take a quick break and then visit with our good buddy Jay Hill from Big M Roofing and Remodeling.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Is there anywhere in this town where we could buy a shrubbery?
News Talk 98.9 The Roar of Memphis.
Allan, you've never asked that question. You know all the shrubbery.
I do.
Including the back.
He's a self-shrubber.
Exactly. Including the back alley shrubbery dealers, which we've heard. We've heard about that.
I know them well.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com, our pal Max over there behind the glass, and in the house, our good buddy Jay Hill with Big M Roofing and Remodeling. In fact, you can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling hotline at 901-683-0989, like a few people have done, right, Max? We've got a couple on standby. We're going to get to those. If you've texted in, we do have a call to action. We are, and we're going to mention that in a minute, and we've got a couple that we're going to address shortly. Also, we invite you to go digital. You can go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page, check out the action over there, like the page and share the page. And while you're over on Facebook, scoot on over to the News Talk 98.9 The Roar Facebook page and watch the show on the Royal Retreat studio cams. So one of the things we have out on the table today, Jay, is we've put it out there for our listeners that there's always that honey-do list that we have around the house, and there's always those couple of items that for whatever reason you just never get to. They could be on there for years. Maybe they feel very daunting and they just seem like, oh man, you're dreading getting to them. Well, if you've got something like that on your list, give us a call or text and let us know what it is, and maybe we can kind of push you over the finish line, or maybe at least make it less scary. I don't know. Maybe there's something that you just think is going to be a huge project, and actually maybe we can talk you through it. So, and Jay, we'll look for your expertise on that as well. We've got a couple people on that we're going to address that have texted in their comments, so we'll get to that. But Jay, first we want to hear you. You've been a busy man. You and I are working on a project.
We are
this week. But where do we want to start? I mean, you've got a lot going on right now. So
Yeah, I tell you, August was an incredibly busy month for us. All the guys I know in the industry, same for them. Just really can't get caught up. I don't know that anybody really realized that all of the storms that we've had that have preceded this year, prior to August, for instance, which were 3 big ones, and that's the whole South, not just the Mid-South, everywhere, has created a huge shortage of shingles in GAF, Owens Corning, the 2 big ones. And it doesn't look like there's any end in sight for quite some time. Nobody could have predicted, that you would have needed the kind of backup that you would have needed to take care of all this. Now, with the hurricane coming through down in Florida, and, excuse me, a lot of the products that come in, they're regionalized. So what's available in the South, for instance, you'll have to pull from different regions and places like that. But it's a big problem for a lot of people and with certain manufacturers in a lot of products right now.
It's easy. It's interesting you say that, Jay, because, for us, it's like we'll have storms. We have these power outages. And then a week or two goes by, it's out of the news, and we tend to forget about it. But that storm or that front affected, half the country or something. And you're competing with other markets to get your materials, right? I mean, so.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. Well, definitely. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was like going through the big box store for one of the jobs. It was like, I need to go get some sheetrock.
Yeah.
And rolled up in there and went to the big stack in the back corner and realized, I forgot, we've had a hurricane.
Right.
Prices just jumped 30%. As you and I keep going through this with the lumber. It's like, okay, we got a great supply of it, and look, it's all gone.
Yeah, Jay, I don't know how much you have to go to the big box store because I know you get yours, you have a different supplier, but it's interesting when you go there where there's that one random item that either just spiked up in price or it's just gone. Like you have all these full racks and then that one is completely cleared out. It's like, so.
Yeah.
And it's got to be like you're saying with storms and just everything that happened. So.
Well, we count on, a couple of big storms, every year here in the Mid-South. That's pretty predictable, as an average. We had 3 major ones really before May.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
And then, then the hurricane on top. So, anyway, we're blessed that as a master elite contractor that we've got some relationships that make sure that we can get our product, the GAF product, to our customers to a point.
Right.
But even that's starting to run, as we're seeing with the job that we're working on right now, it's going to run out. GAF's in a better position than any of the other ones that are out, like the Owens Corning, for instance, right now. I understand they're really in a pickle for probably a year or so before the suppliers get any shingles at all. And this has been going on since COVID, so they're really struggling there.
Wow.
Yeah, because they can only manufacture it so fast, right? I mean, and they need supplies to get their thing. So I don't know, man. It's like, so in other words, these days, Jay, when somebody's thinking about working on their roof or something, you have to consider the turnaround with just getting the materials, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's getting close enough now to literally we could agree on, a roof project, for instance, for you, but I don't know whether or not it's available or not until I find out, like, for instance, what color, what style of shingle you're looking for. There are a couple of colors that are, still got a good bit of. Then there's some that's limited, then some that's just maybe a roof or two left as far as this market's concerned with GAF.
Right, yeah. So
till probably October, November. I mean, they'll come back.
But I guess when you watch the news and you see a hurricane in Florida or even California, I mean, them getting it. So keep that in mind. That's all plays a role with what happens out here. So I mean,
absolutely.
Hey, Jay, you and I are doing it. So there's a project in Midtown that I've talked about here on the air for a bit, but I'm building this is a brand new construction. So it'll be a laundry room and then a 2-car carport. And because of the architecture of the house and where this connects, it's more or less going to be a flat roof, but we are going to be able to put like a pitch on it, Jay. But what's fun about this is I've got Jay, you're consulting with me so that I design it exact. So basically, before we even put up a new board or whatever, Jay's giving me the best advice as far as getting a perfect pitch and the right kind of closing it out so that the roofing is going to be as low maintenance as possible. And that's kind of a cool opportunity to do it.
Yeah, and one thing about, of course, everybody gets a little share of what goes on in Midtown in terms of historic homes and things like that, and older homes, if you will. They all bring to the table their own unique challenges, and this one no exception. It's just the difference in the design of 100 years ago and today and the products that are available. And a lot of what used to happen, I guess people were just more frugal back in the day is the best way to say it. But, when you needed a new roof, it was not uncommon and probably pretty much standard fare. You just throw another roof on top of the one you had.
This one's got like 5 layers.
It's got a bunch. And we see that a lot on the flat roofs because that was the days of the old hot mop, and hot tar.
Right.
And so, starts leaking a little bit, get your mop out and your hot tar and start mopping away again. And but at some point in time, the weight of that, of course, is going to create a big problem with your decking because it's just not made to withstand all that. The older homes probably better so than the ones today, though. And all that's got to come off. And what you're going to traditionally find when you get all those layers off is that by the time you get them off, that decking is going to be gone as well. So you're going to have to maybe even, and in most cases, replace some rafters that you just can't see that have actually cracked, warped, broke. But got to get that good substrate on to put today's products on it to get you through the next 25 years or so.
Yeah, I have a feeling you're going to find some surprises under there when it comes up because that flat. We're talking flat. This roof has no pitch to it. In fact, I even wonder if it's pitching towards the house a little bit. But yeah, so you're gonna have to, I guess, do a rolled roof roofing product or something.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, GAF's got a great product in Liberty, which is a 2-part process where you're basically putting down a base sheet, then you're securing that sheet around the perimeters with drip edge, and then you're adding your cap sheet to it. And your cap sheet is your top sheet, which basically has the granules on it that resembles whatever your field shingles on your main body of your house would have. And GAF makes that product for every field shingle that it makes. There's a corresponding cap sheet to it.
Now, what I was impressed with, Jay, was the fact that, we talk about the newest technology. You showed up before you even got to the job. You'd said, hey, what's the address? You got, and I gave you the address. You had a printout with all the specs and all the measurements and all the whatever. So do you work with the CIA or something, or how did you get this information, sir? Because I was a little surprised.
I'd tell you, but I'd have to kill you. This is pretty standard in the trades today, especially a great tool. I can't think of anyone that it's more important to than a roofing contractor than us, because at the end of the day, who wants to get on a roof and hand measure a roof with today's pitches and so on? I mean, it's just a monster of bear. So yeah, satellite imagery is what I brought to the table over there. GAF is yoked with a company called Quick Measure, which is our own brand, if you will, of satellite imagery, which literally, can measure your roof from a satellite. So it shows you all the pitches. It shows you the perimeter. It's going to tell you really within 3 or 4 bundles of shingles exactly what you're going to need to put a roof on that house.
What I like is, because, it doesn't replace doing a visual inspection and everything, but what I like is it's basically doing the math for you, is what it seems like to me. So
Yeah. And based on the pitch that you have, that you're going to have a waste factor in there as well. And
right.
So you calculate that based on the pitch.
So, Jay, how do people get in touch with Big M Roofing and Remodeling?
Of course, I'm at 901-484-5645. And then Jay at bigmroofingandremodeling.com. Then, of course, that's the website. bigmroofingandremodeling.com would be the website you can get a lot of information from, too.
Yeah, good stuff. And as we've said, when Jay shows up on the job, there's definitely an uptick in the energy. I don't know what it is. I don't know what you instill in your crew and everything, Jay, but when you guys show up, man, it's go time.
Thank you. We appreciate it. We attribute it to sugar-free Red Bull.
Okay. Drop the mic. Well, we're gonna put down a few sugar-free Red Bulls and then come back here, and who knows what condition we'll be in. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Gonna paint our wagon, gonna paint it good. We ain't bragging, we're gonna coat that wood.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
That's the key to Jay's success, is all his crew members sing.
Yeah, he keeps a happy workforce, so yeah.
That was us. Thank you.
Okay. Hot mics. And we'll come back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com, our pal Max over there behind the glass, and our good buddy Jay Hill with Big M Roofing and Remodeling. And in fact, you can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling hotline at 901-683-0989. And it seems like a lot of people are doing that, Allan. We'll have to get to them momentarily. They want to talk to Jay, it sounds like. You can also go to the Facebook page, go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page, check out the posts we've made over there, and like the page and share the page. And after you've done that, scoot on over to the News Talk 98.9 The Roar Facebook page, and you can watch the show on the Royal Retreat studio cams. And if you're really curious what Jay Hill looks like, well, here's your big chance. Go over and see what he looks like. But
you'll be disappointed.
Well, hey, we've got a little bit of a call to action for our listeners that people are chiming in on. We want to know what is one of the most daunting items on your honey-do list. What are you putting off? Why? Maybe we can help talk you through it. Get you across the finish line. And a couple of people have chimed in. We're going to get to them in a minute. But Max, you said we've got a caller. Sounds like they want to talk to Jay. All right, who do we got there, Max?
Tom,
how's it going this morning, sir?
It's going good. I wanted to call and give Jay a shout out. You had put me in contact with him back in late July for a chimney project that I didn't know where to turn. And right after that show, I called Jay and we connected. And I had a new chimney by the end of that following week. I was shocked. I mean, Jay performed a miracle. And then since then, he's come out. He quoted me a new roof, and I have a new roof, and I couldn't be happier. And I just wanted to give Jay just a sincere thank you and shout out this morning.
Holy smokes, Jay! Well, there you go. You got a fan club out there.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, good morning, Tom.
Absolutely.
Hey, yeah, good to talk to you this morning. Thanks for calling in. And if you don't mind, I think what I'd like to share with listeners is actually how that happened. You called in on the show about a month ago with the chimney dilemma, and of course we went out and fixed that. And I actually was coming to your house to actually, collect the money for that project. And when I got there, we just kind of looked around the house, and that's when we discovered that you definitely had wind damage to the roof itself. And I felt like that we had a way to go with your homeowner's insurance. And of course, we called that claim in. We're successful. And the rest is history. Now you've got a new roof, and now that money that that was probably earmarked for a roof anyway at some point in time at least, now can be spent on other things that you and your lovely bride find that the house needs at this time, like the siding and the painting that we'll be talking about at the end of next week.
Hey, Tom.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, Tom. So, often on the show we talk about Jay. We talk about Jay's dynamic personality. Would you agree with that? When he shows up, there's just the energy level rises.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just everything just connected, and I couldn't have been more pleasantly surprised and shocked at just how quickly everything came together, and I mean in a good way. It just, that's how I like things anyway. Is once that project comes up on my honey-do list to complete. Well, Jay finished it. I'm not sure what I was expecting, but he exceeded my expectations. I mean, I'm so happy with everything.
Hey, Tom, could you, when you get a minute, could you text us some pictures? We'd love to see it, especially if you had any before
sure.
and after. That would be cool. So,
absolutely, I'll make sure and do that.
Well, Tom, it's good hearing from you, man, and stay in touch. And it's always great talking to you. So, thanks for checking in this morning.
I love the show, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. Look forward to seeing y'all next week. Okay, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Okay.
All right, thanks,
bye-bye.
man. You got another one, Max? Sounds
We got Keith on the line.
Is he another Jay Hill fan? Or?
He's bringing the party today.
All right. So, Keith, how's it going this morning, sir?
It's going great. Thank you very much for taking my call.
So how's it? So, wait, now, is this a Jay Hill testimonial here, or what do we got? No,
actually, this is more of an insurance question that I have.
Okay. He's the man. Yep.
Yep. We were looking at moving to Pensacola, Florida recently, and we were told that unless your roof is 15 years or younger, we could not get homeowners insurance. Also, they were saying that if we had solar panels on the roof, they would not insure our home because the wind gets up underneath the solar panels. I replaced my roof on my house myself about 10 years ago. And I've never had an issue with it since. I actually worked with a contractor, and we did it ourselves. Do you see this as being an issue with insurance or reselling here locally or with down there? Have you heard of this?
It is. That's certainly true in Florida because of the sheer amount of storms that come through there. Insurance companies are trying to minimize or mitigate their risk any way they can. Now, that's even happening in our market right now. I don't know. I'm sure a lot of the listeners can identify with this. It's that letter that you get from your insurer, no matter who it is, for the most part, your Big Ten, telling you that they understand that your roof is, 15 years old, for instance, on some it's 20 old, and then if you don't replace it in the next 12 to 24 months, that they're going to exclude any roof claims from your policy or cancel your policy. And that's how the insurance companies are starting to handle that particular item. But that's nationwide for a lot of people, especially the Mid-South, no question in Florida. But it's even affecting us here. Yes, sir, it is, Keith.
Oh, yeah. Shoot. Well, Keith, I had a reverse situation. I just got new homeowners insurance about a month ago, and because I had a new J Hill roof up there, I'm saving money every week on my policy.
Exactly. So it goes both ways.
It kind of pays for
save
itself.
money if you do.
Right.
So when you get one, you're going to save money, and if you don't, they're going to say, hit the road, Jack.
So what do you think? So Tom, what does this mean for you then? Are you going to have to
Keith.
I'm sorry, Keith. Yeah, I was looking at my wrong check.
Yes.
Keith, are you going to have to start maybe budgeting for a roof? Is that what you're thinking here?
Well, we were down there about a month ago, and we liked the house, and the lady has had her roof replaced by some contractors after Hurricane Sally, but she had no permit pulled from the county and no receipts. So before we even bought the house, we were going to have the roof replaced anyway with hurricane clips or whatever. But that's just a factor we have to figure into the purchase of the home if we move down there.
Well, Keith, not being a licensed contractor, obviously anywhere in Florida, I can tell you that's probably true. The good news in the Mid-South is, though, in a lot of ways, that you do not have to have a permit pulled to replace a roof in Shelby County, which is a blessing for the homeowner as long as you've got a qualified contractor. But it sounds like they've tied that little issue into a bigger problem down there in Florida or in Pensacola for you.
Yeah. Hey,
So
Keith, have you
here-
closed on the house yet? Are you?
No, we have not. They had an HOA that we didn't like. It had some rules with the HOA, so we walked away from it.
Oh, good.
But up here in Shelby County, I live in Bartlett. My house was built in mid-'70s. It's Old Town Bartlett. So if I go to sell my house, I don't have any documentation where I replaced the roof. I mean, it looks fine and all that. We actually did some upgrades to our house, new windows, hardy board siding and stuff like that. So my question is that going to affect me when I go to sell my Bartlett home? Will I have to get a new roof put on it before I sell, or what is the insurance and all that?
Well, I would just say this to that, because very rarely is anybody going to buy a home today without a home inspection. Certainly the lenders are going to require it. But I can tell you that any home inspector, which most of the time these guys are independent, and gals in the home inspection business, they're going to I've always found, defer the roof, and only the roof, to a roofing contractor. They won't know part of that, because it's hard if you're not classically trained in the business to determine how old that roof is, if it was built right, and just whether or not it is in good standing now, and give you any idea of how much longer it should last just by natural usage. So that's what we find.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Keith, I guess it's time. Yeah, just have a good conversation with with your realtor. So, hey, Keith, we're coming up on a hard break, man. We have to let you go, but we sure appreciate the call. And
Thanks, Keith.
we may address a little of this when we come back after the top of the hour. But thanks for calling in, man.
No, thank you. Thank you very much.
Good talking to you. Boy, Jay, you're a popular guy this morning. So, but these are these are nuts and bolts questions that people have, and it is one of those things. And I guess it varies from state to state, right? So,
Yeah,
okay.
that's why I tell people that would say. Oh,
Yeah, we're on the air still.
I'm
Jay.
sorry. That's why I tell people that say that.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, boy, I don't know where hour one went, but it's over. So we're gonna have Jay stick around a bit for hour two of Tool Talk Radio.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
And welcome to hour two of Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. We also invite you to go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page. You can like the page and share the page. And while you're on Facebook, scoot on over to the News Talk 98.9 The Roar Facebook page and watch the show on the Royal Retreat studio cams. And in the house, we've got our good buddy, Jay Hill with Big M Roofing and Remodeling. Jay, people are calling in. One Tom called in to just basically sing your praises and say what a great experience he had. Keith called in with basically looking for advice about more or less, I guess, he's dealing with a real estate transaction where the roof has become a sticking point. I thought you had some pretty good info on that, man.
I'm going to tell you what, a roof is part of any real estate transaction. And that's really how we got started in a lot of ways, because I can't tell you how many times that the seller or the buyer had a problem with the roof and it was going to make or break the deal. Mm-hmm. And we just cultivated some relationships with a lot of the top realtors in town. And they call us and just say, hey, Jay, is there any way, I mean, do we have storm damage here? Is there a way that we could get this replaced on the seller's homeowner's insurance, which, of course, is no big deal to them. They're leaving the house anyway. And you'd be surprised 50% of the time that works out. Don't work out all the time. Well, but if the roof's an issue, there's generally some storm damage there.
Well, I'm thinking on the flip side, Jay, because I have a Big M roof. You installed it about 2.5 years ago, and it's got a lifetime transferable warranty. I'll tell you this, I saved money on my homeowner's insurance, and I have to believe that if I ever did want to sell the house, it's a huge selling point.
No question about it.
So it works both ways here.
You think about what we were just talking about with the last caller and talking about, 15 years kind of being the cutoff for a lot of insurance companies now sending you that dreaded letter of replace it or we're going to see you later. And think about, the fact that you've got an opportunity to put into a prospective buyer's hand to your home a warranty that is literally non-prorated. And will last them a lifetime as well.
Yeah, so that's good stuff, Jay. And everybody likes to talk to Jay. So we invite you to call in at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline 901-683-0989 because we don't have you here for the whole show, Jay. So we better take advantage while we can. Max, somebody else has chimed in, right?
Speaking of calling, we got another caller. It's Kevin today.
Okay, Kevin. And who's Kevin calling for? Kevin, what's up, man? Okay.
Hey, good morning, guys.
How's it going?
Good morning.
Good to talk to you, Kevin.
Good. Beautiful day to be out doing something, anything.
It's starting to feel like fall. Yep.
Yeah, my time of year. Hey, back to roofing. I am hearing, I do some rehabs and all that, but I'm hearing that from a lot of contractors that it is illegal to put on more than two roofs, to put a third roof on, and they present it like it's a matter of law. And I heard you say earlier there's no permit required. If it is law, how is it enforced? If it's not law, if it's just suggestive, what are the ramifications of that? Because as you said earlier, some structures are built a lot better than others. They'll have 2x8s on 16 centers with 3/4 decking, and some of the new ones, like I've seen out in Germantown, they'll be 24-inch centers with half-inch decking, and you can see the swag in there. What's the deal on it? Is it mandatory to not exceed two layers?
Well, what it boils down to, Kevin, is that is the Shelby County Code that you have a maximum of 2 layers. Have we seen more than 2? I saw a house 6 or 7 years ago with 7 layers on it. So at the end of the day, there's a point of diminishing return. It's in terms of really, this is where it's going to affect you. You get really any more. This is my experience doing this for a lot of years. You get any more than 2 roofs, I don't care, how big the beams are, how strong they are. You've got to think about what kind of weight that you are adding to that framing. And I'm going to tell you over time, it's going to do some damage, just the sheer weight. I mean, it's like setting 2 more, 3 more trucks on top of your house. So where it's going to be a problem for you is if you do that and you try to sell the house, then it's going to become an issue, but it's not necessarily going to be a code issue for you because – and the way this whole thing started is that since a permit is not required for a roof, there's no pre-inspection. Like drip edge, for instance, is a code item, but it's not enforced since there's no inspection, there's no permit. Half the houses don't have it. So, but I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't put any more than 2. I'm not a fan of 2. Certain places I can see where it's a benefit, I guess, in some ways. In a lot of cases, I don't care for it. But it's not anything I believe you're going to get in trouble for a long haul. You're just going to hurt yourself, I think, in the long haul when you're trying to sell the house. That's my opinion.
Hey, Kevin, you were asking what is the enforcement mechanism, and I'm wondering, Jay, is it more or less the enforcement mechanism is when you go to sell the house?
That's it.
Suddenly, that's a sticking point, and until it gets fixed, you're not selling that house. Maybe,
right. You'll have more trouble with an HOA than you will with Shelby County Code.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I've had a number of midtown properties, and I had one with 5 layers on it, 5 roofs.
Beautiful.
I stripped that, and but I just didn't know if it was some BS where it was actually codified or not. But you're saying it is written in code, so.
Well, Allan's raising his hand because he's the authority with that state regulation stuff. What do you got, Allan?
Well, code enforcement gets involved as basically a complaint, a permit, or change that they see. So if code enforcement just happens to be driving down your street while you're putting that 4th roof on, you might get caught.
Okay.
So you kind of thing. And the other thing is like a complaint or any type of action like that. Code enforcement does not have satellites going around the city looking for 5 roofs.
Not yet.
But
stand by.
The reason is we have a code, and that way everybody at least knows the guideline.
Yeah, I feel like I'm sure it's just to protect the homeowners. So
and I would say this to that, and I'm not really trying to step on any toes when I say this. I think any really qualified and educated contractor that would allow or condone or go along with letting somebody put 3 or 4 roofs on, that's somebody you don't want to do business with. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Hey, Kevin, great question, man. Sorry, we're coming up on a break, man. We have to let you go, but thanks for calling in, and stay in touch. Good talking to you.
Okay, thanks. Good info.
Good stuff, man. We're getting a lot of calls today. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio here at News Talk 98.9 The Roar, Memphis. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Dad, your hand is jammed in the toaster.
News Talk 98.9 The Roar of Memphis.
Just pour some water on it. That'll fix the problem. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio. Don't pour water on it, folks.
No,
I get we don't want to get sued, Allan.
Yeah, don't say that, Joe.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com. Our pal Max over there behind the glass. And in the house, fielding your phone calls, is our good buddy Jay Hill with Big M Roofing and Remodeling. As a matter of fact, you can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling hotline at 901-683-0989. You texters that have sent in your questions, we haven't forgot you. We'll get to you momentarily. We just, the callers go to the front of the line, right, Allan? So,
absolutely.
And also, while you're, if you want to get the full Tool Talk Radio experience, head on over to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page. Check out the posts we've made over there. Like the page and share the page. And then head on over to the News Talk 98.9 The Roar Facebook page, and you can watch the show on the Royal Retreat studio cams, especially if you're dying of curiosity to know what Jay Hill looks like. Well, here's your chance. He's on camera. So remember that, sir.
Yes.
And you dress for the part. He shaved. He's got a cool T-shirt.
You know what? I
on, too.
almost didn't. Then I realized the cameras are in here now, and I don't want to look like that on a Saturday morning.
Exactly. He doesn't want to look like me. So
no, for sure.
So we got great sponsors. We always have a lot of great people that would get involved in the show. Among them is our good buddy Larry Brown with Brown Refrigeration. Allan, I mean, is there any more important function inside the home than your HVAC system?
Not in the Mid-South.
No. I mean, and it is a finely calibrated mechanism. It involves chemistry. It involves there is a lot that goes on. It looks simple enough. You think, okay, it blows out hot or cold air. No, not really. It's conditioning the air. It is a very precise instrument, and that's why you want to, for one thing, you want to work with the latest technology. You want to work with the most updated clean air systems like the Remy Halo system. And also you want a company that is rock solid, that has been there through through thick and thin, and is not going anywhere. And that's why we love Brown Refrigeration. They have a great business culture, And your HVAC system does require maintenance. It's not scary maintenance. It's more preventative, what I would call. So you want to have your HVAC company out there once or twice a year to touch base and to look it over and to make sure everything's functioning properly, which is why you want a company that is rock solid like Brown Refrigeration. We love what they do over there. Just great people. And they've cultivated a great business culture. So get in touch with the good people at Brown Refrigeration. You can call or text them. I mean, no, you can't text them at this line. Call them directly at 901-362-1881 or go to their website, brownref.com. Well, we have a lot to get to, Allan, but the texts keep coming in. So we've got one from who do we want to get to first, Max?
Well, let's get to Agent 732.
All right. What did he have to say?
I rent my place. How do you recommend going about small fixes when you don't own but don't want to bug the landlord about every little thing?
And what are you allowed to fix, too? So
that is a big thing. Of course, you're not going to move a wall or something like that. However, generally, if you'll just ask your landlord, hey, I'm going to repaint the living room a certain color, it's on me. At this point, I always put in what I call the consumable ROI, and that is your return on investment.
Right.
It's not your property, but you live there. So do you really like strawberries? Then get you a big old container and put you some strawberries in it. But don't dig up the backyard and
cut the grass, but don't weed eat.
It is really a matter of your personal ROI. What is it worth to you to live how and where and the style that you want to?
Yeah.
And generally, most landlords, if you want to paint something a different color, they really don't care unless you want to do something bizarre.
Right.
If you're going to go avant-garde and you want to live in the new Barbie house, they probably don't want you to paint it bright pink.
No. Go ahead, Jake.
I was going to say it's been my experience that most landlords really, if you're qualified to take care of some little home project like that, are more than happy to let you do that and provide the receipts for what you've done. It's a less expense to them, and it's getting done because it's hard for them to find somebody to do that at anywhere near a reasonable price. But at the end of the day, that's if you do anything like Allan said, that's going to be moving walls and things like that, and changing paint colors and things like that they're probably not going to pay for. But just any little minor repair, they would appreciate that in most cases. You can just take it off your rent, show them the receipts.
Yeah, just, again, a quick conversation, and again, your own personal, it's worth it to me to have it for now.
I would say, too, just as a matter of protecting yourself, I would not touch anything to do with the plumbing. Even if you say, hey, that toilet is kind of dripping, it's running or whatever, I can just get you probably can replace it, but if you do anything incorrectly and you just flooded your neighbor's house down below, you're probably going to be liable. So I would say maybe stick more to cosmetic improvements or something, but I would call the landlord and say, hey, this toilet is running, you fix it. So
I would stay out of water and electricity.
Right, yeah. You don't want to burn anything down.
Cosmetics. We're talking cosmetics and aesthetics.
Okay.
Don't get serious.
All right, Max, who's next?
All right, William.
What does William have to say? William's our friend that's working on the concrete floor in his workshop, right?
Yep.
Okay.
William here with more problems. I'm still in Arkansas, so I have no updates on the slab repair. However, the same slab has been attacked by groundhogs.
Oh, no.
About 1.5 half yard of material has been undermined. Besides grout, concrete, or gravel, what can my wife use to fill the void? Keep water and groundhogs out. The hole is about 4 foot long, 4 foot wide, 1 foot thick. My honey-do list item is leveling the foundation.
Okay, so if you are new to Tool Talk Radio, William has been keeping in contact with us over the last few weeks because he poured a new floor into his workshop, and it's a little wavy. Apparently, the problem was the concrete arrived kind of dry, and it's making hills and valleys. But now I wonder if he poured the concrete over a groundhog condo, and they're fighting back now.
Oh no, they found the edge of that and tunneled in.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Now, I have no authority. I don't know. I don't even know that I've seen a groundhog in real life. So what do you?
All right, picture a hamster that weighs about 8 pounds.
No, they're cool looking. I've seen them on TV. But so what do we do here?
All right, the one thing I have done in the past in dealing with groundhogs is spray foam. You can get it in larger quantities than just the little can.
Yeah.
But for like squirrels and stuff like that, generally you need to fill the void. And because there's a nice hole at the end of it, it's not going to push up as concrete or anything. But that's the quick, easy, fast way to get the void filled so the critters are not getting in there and it's not letting in water or other critters.
Now,
that's the quick, easy way of doing it. Yeah, the other way is you got to make a slurry, go back in, and have somebody, a professional, go in and pump a soil slurry underneath it and completely fill the void and back it out.
I was thinking rocks or something, like gravel. I don't know. Now that you're saying that, because the only reason is because as much as we love that expanding foam, it will deteriorate over time.
It will.
So he was talking about a 4-foot tunnel or something.
Yeah,
and what's to keep them from just tunneling around and going right next to it?
Nothing.
I don't know.
No,
it sounds like
that's-
they'd be unrelenting. They're going to keep trying to get in, right? So.
That's the problem with any of those type varmints, with squirrels, with raccoons. I mean, you can, and we do a lot of this wood replacement where they found that hole in the soffit, or the fascia somewhere, and keep going. And then you take care of that and if they've got babies in there or if it gets winter,
right.
Man, they're finding a new route.
They'll move over 2 feet and tunnel in again.
It will. They can go straight through that freaking wood, man.
Well, now, there are repellents that you can put down that make it very unpleasant for the little critter to keep trying to get in.
What I'm wondering, though, is if you look at it from, if you put yourself in their shoes, well, yeah, just like Jay said, what if you've trapped their family in there? They're going to get in whatever, any way they can to do it. But now I'm starting to wonder if let's suppose you fill in that tunnel, they dig another tunnel, you fill that one in. Suddenly it's looking like Swiss cheese under your foundation, and now you're creating structural issues. So and this is not to be taken lightly, it sounds like to me.
And you may need to contact a critter ritter of some kind to come out and trap the little darling and have it relocated.
They have more rights than you. I'll tell you that up front. Those squirrels do.
All right, good questions, William. So, hey, Allan, let's shift gears because we got a lot to get to, but we don't want to fail to mention our good friends at the Royal Retreat.
No, not at all.
Great folks over there.
Yes, so, family dynamics and everything that it is when it's time for some assistance. We'll leave it as, you've worked really hard your whole life, and now you need a little help.
Right.
Of the Royal Retreat over at 6551 9 Arnold Road is an assisted living. And for as like they said, if you've worked really hard your whole life, time to be pampered a little bit. These people can answer your questions. And the biggest thing is for all family planning and that type of thing, get some answers and go take a tour.
Have a plan.
Absolutely. Have a plan. They can contact Lana Candela at 901-563-2210. And I really just advocate, ask questions, go take a tour, have a plan, have something in the motion and ready to go.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's what you want for your loved ones, too. You want to know they're being taken care of. So, absolutely. Wow, the show is flying by. I don't know where it's going, Allan. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about our great moments in building history as we discuss a local feature, the Crosstown Concourse.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Just a few more seconds of mental preparation and I'll be painting this wall.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Well, I mean, it's good to visualize what you've got to do and then get it done.
Mm-hmm.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. If you wanted to talk to Jay Hill, though, you missed your chance. He's off to work. He doesn't really wait around too much. He gets to it. So, but he had some good stuff today. He had a few callers that I believe there was some good practical nuts and bolts advice about your roof. But we also invite you to go digital. Go over to Tool Talk Radio on the is it digital? Is Facebook a digital? I guess it is.
Yes.
It's a digital
social
platform.
Media digital platform.
Okay, go over to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page, like the page, share the page, check out the posts we've made over there. And then while you're over there, scoot on over to the News Talk 98.9 The Roar Facebook page and check out the show. You can watch it on the Royal Retreat studio cams. So, I don't know if we're going to get to everything we teased today, Allan, because we've had a lot of great listener interaction and we've had a lot of good texts and calls. But it is time to shift gears and let's get to our great moments in building history.
And now, great moments in building history.
It's a little redundant. I should have kept my mouth. I should have just let the that mysterious voice talk about it. Well, we don't like to ignore, or I shouldn't say that. We like to showcase some of the things that we have right in our own hometown. And so today in Great Moments in Building History, we're actually going to talk about the Crosstown Concourse, which used to be the Sears distribution hub. I have to believe many Memphians and many people in town here have visited this location. I'll be very honest and transparent right out of the gate. When this project was first pitched, or when they first started talking about it, I thought it was the dumbest idea I've ever heard. I said, this is going to cost a fortune. Nobody's going to want to come here. Who would possibly want to set up their business here? Who'd want to live here, whatever. I couldn't have been more wrong, and I'm happy that I was, but it is a great example of repurposing. I wasn't super interested in all the history. I know there's a history, but I was more interested in how they really have created almost like a town within. It's almost like it's a mini town or village in a community within one building, and it's very interesting, and it's worth showcasing. So.
Well, we get to set the Wayback Machine and go to 1927 and 1 million square feet of building.
Yeah.
If you can imagine that, 1927, we just basically got done with a huge recession.
Right.
And here comes Sears, rolls into little bitty Memphis, Tennessee, kind of out in the middle of the country, and said, all right, we're going to put in a warehouse.
Right.
And they built a building in 1927 designed to handle weight.
Okay.
And that is the secret.
That's what all those
here.
Columns are about there, right?
That was and
we're going to sort of assume that a lot of people know what the Crosstown building looks like, because I mean, if you live here, get on YouTube, get on whatever, but yeah.
It looks like a 1927 big square concrete building.
You cannot miss those columns, and it does. It looks like it can handle weight. They probably had forklifts, and they had all sorts of things tooling around in there.
And Joe, that is the real secret here. This building was designed to take abuse.
Right.
It was designed for trucks, forklifts, people hauling pallets. It was really designed. And, today we have Amazon.com. Before we had Amazon.com, we had Sears.
I mean, do you remember? I don't know any home that didn't have the Sears catalog. You looked forward to it when it came in the mail.
Everybody had the 1,000-page Sears catalog piled up there. So this building was designed to handle the freight and the traffic and the industrial use and abuse it was going to take.
Right.
So, of course, the world changed. And somewhere in the mid-'90s, I think it was about 93, the Sears Crosstown building became vacant.
Mm-hmm.
And then it sat. And as you said, driving through Memphis, if you're driving into that part of town, you cannot miss this building. It's huge.
You see it when you're pulling up from a distance. It's interesting that it was 1993. I moved here in 1994, but I just always had the impression that this thing was closed for decades. But no, it really wasn't. It was
it didn't close down until 93.
Yeah.
It had diminishing use for the previous decade. So the parking lot wasn't full anymore, but there was still some action.
Is this about when Amazon came on the scene? Because now that you're saying this, the dates are starting to make sense to me because we started having computers in our home. We started having, was the cell phone around yet? I guess.
2000
not what it is now,
marks,
but yeah.
Around 2000 kind of marks our modern era when the internet really got started. But so many other things had happened. Sears was kind of on a decline. Kmart was on a decline. There were new competitors. The new big box stores had come in.
Mm-hmm.
So people, other companies were picking away at the Sears empire it was a death of 1,000 cuts.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So now about 2015, of a wide variety of people with a wide variety of ideas and uses looked at this building and went, we have 1 million square feet of building designed to take it.
Okay, can I say something in my defense? Well, this isn't in my defense. This is one of the reasons. This is before I knew you. I think the whole conversation started. No, actually, this was right around the time I think whatever. The conversation started, and my thought was, okay, what would it take to get this place up to code? What would it,
exactly?
Whatever. But now that you're explaining this as though this was a distribution hub. And it was built to hold all sorts of inventory. Structurally, I guess what they saw was the guts of this thing are rock solid. Cosmetically is the issue. Well, we can fix that. We can change the paint. We can put new windows in. We can do that. And so you had the foundation of a really rock solid structure. So,
case in point, you and I went down there during construction, and they had honestly stripped away all of the consumable materials.
Yeah.
So what we saw while we were down there, we were watching huge pieces of, industrial equipment, 8 floors up, running or driving around, removing flooring, removing sheetrock, getting rid of carpet. They got rid of a lot of the exterior walls. You could look straight through the building. But what you saw was a massive concrete infrastructure that just was going nowhere. And that is what the developers saw they looked at the concourse and went, well, we could not possibly afford today to build that superstructure.
What I observed too, and we're always talking about lighting and just the what that creates when you have a structure that's built to handle weight and to handle large amounts of inventory and let forklifts drive through. Well, you have a lot of big open spaces with lots of windows that let light through, and it creates a really kind of uplifting vibe. You go into that main concourse, it goes up 8 or 10 stories, and that kind of gets you. The way the light comes in, it's got a really nice airy feel to it. It's cool. It creates a really neat environment.
So, I remember like you, when I saw the budget for the project, and they went to a giant abandoned building in a less than desirable part of town.
Right.
And they're going to spend $200 million on this thing.
Yeah.
And I remember the very first time I walked in, and the one thing that really struck me was they did not hide the building.
It's kind of like what Max talks about with Kintsugi. They left the imperfections, and that's part of the story of the building. Yeah, if that brick is exposed because the plaster's falling off over here, we're gonna leave it. In fact, we're gonna put a spotlight on it.
Exactly,
yeah.
And it created. I've just got to. It's one of these confession type things. When you walked in and you looked at it, you went, they didn't really change that much. They just kind of got rid of the warehouse.
Yeah.
And came back in. And because this is a multi-use facility, you and I happen to know that there's a secret movie studio in there. We know that there's an entertainment complex. There's restaurants.
A beautiful theater behind it, too.
People can live there.
There's a great woodworking shop. I mean, I would say they have one of the best woodworking shops in town that you can join. It's like $80 a month. I mean, state of the art, really high quality. It's in climate controlled. I would strongly encourage you to look into that. That is well worth doing.
And the one thing that totally got me was the number of medical facilities that moved into it.
Right. No, I mean, it is self-contained. There are people that live there, and during certain, if you get an ice storm, they don't even have to leave. They can they've got restaurants, they've got entertainment, they've got the art. And one of the things I really appreciated about the whole launching of the Crosstown Concourse was their appreciation of the arts. And, I mean, there are galleries in there. And I really think that Max, you've gone over there and played the piano in the atrium there, right? I mean,
not yet.
Oh, you have? Okay. Well, it's
always
your
locked.
bucket list. So, okay.
Actually, I have friends that have done that.
Yeah.
I would probably just play I would probably just play geek music on there if I'm being honest.
I was in the speaking of that, I was in the Crosstown Concourse this week. Somebody was in. I was just walking through. I had a quick appointment. I got some lunch, and somebody was in there playing the cello and the violin, and it was just echoing through the hall. It was cool. And it really just made me, it really represents Memphis well, too, I would think, because it feels like a Memphis, structure, you could say.
Well,
it captures the city's personality.
And I get to look at Max over there again and say,
do you get to use the B word? Brutalism?
No, not anymore, because they got rid of that and went with a lovely aesthetic. But they did hail to the design process of keeping the past, updating it, bringing it up to code, and leaving open a future for that building because it's so well built, they can really do almost anything they want in there.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's very cool. I was happy to eat my words, but we're going to continue talking about it. The Crosstown Concourse really is kind of a jewel in Memphis. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
The Links at Pine Hill Championship is back September 16th. Experience the newly opened beautiful course renovation featuring 2 new lakes, new Bermuda greens, all new fairways and tee boxes, improved layout, and picturesque views. Come play a round of 18 or stop by and hit a range of balls on the new Pine Hill driving range. Calling all amateurs 18 and up. Registration is now open for the Pine Hill Championship happening September 16th. Visit MemphisPublicLinks.com to register.
Stacking Benjamins with Joe and his good friend OG not only has great financial insight, it's laid back with humor too.
The Len Penzo sandwich survey.
I wanted to know, was it really cheaper to brown bag it every day, or was it cheaper to go through the school lunch?
And the most expensive sandwich of all.
46% increase. This is the first time a sandwich has ever touched $5. Before anybody gags on that though, it's a great sandwich.
Find out more by searching the Stacking Benjamins podcast, wherever you listen.
The topics you care about most.
Dozens and dozens of whistleblowers, FBI agents coming to us, talking about what's going on, the political nature at the Justice Department.
This is a moment where you have to decide where you stand.
News Talk 98.9.
Girls and boys in poverty around the world are dreaming of a better life and a brighter future. Children International and friends like you are giving these children a chance to achieve their dreams by ensuring that they have access to healthcare, education, life skills, and more, so they can grow, thrive, and believe in themselves. Learn more about Children International and join us in our life-changing work at children.org today.
We're the Mid-South's most trusted.
It's a source I can trust.
Because we're the Mid-South's leader in facts, not fear. News Talk 98.9. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
But hear me and hear me well. The day will come. Oh, yes. Mark my word. Your day of reckoning is coming when an evil wind will blow through your little play world and wipe that smug smile off your face. And I'll be there in all my glory, watching as it all comes crumbling down.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
I have to admit, Alan, that's what the founders of the Crosstown Concourse said to me after my mocking. Anyway, they didn't have to throw it in our face though that badly. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from DarkOakMedia.com. Our pal Max over there behind the glass, and dropping into the studio, our buddy Brandon Olmsted from Geek Tank Radio. Brandon, we're gonna share a little heartwarming story actually involving your favorite subject, Halloween.
Well, absolutely.
Right? So
I was going to say heartwarming. Did you dig one up?
No.
No, I have to say, Alan, the greatest customer service story I've ever had happened just a couple of days ago.
Yeah, we're gonna share that in a minute. So there's just enough time to send us a quick message. Really, I would say at this point, send us a text at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline, 901-683-0989. We also invite you to go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page, like the page, share the page, and join the Tool Talk Radio community. And then, if you want to watch the show, head on over to the News Talk 98.9 The Roar Facebook page and watch the show on the Royal Retreat studio cams.
And don't forget, you can always take us with you.
Okay.
That's right. We are international podcast. And I'd like to give a huge shout out to our fans in Malaysia.
Now that's
we
a
have
new
a
one.
new country this week. We have Malaysia. So pop over to 98.9 and you can follow us on their podcast, or you can catch us on Spotify, YouTube, and wherever else you get your podcast.
Now, I wonder what Malaysian homeowners deal with. Like, what are their issues that we'd love to know?
Sounds like something you're going to have to do some research for a future show.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we need our international visitors to go to tooltalkradio.com and send us a message.
Yeah. And that is one of the good things about the internet these days, is any radio show, any of the episodes of Tool Talk Radio or Geek Tank Radio for that matter, Brandon, are saved for the ages, so you can listen to them binge listen if that's your thing. So
I mean, I'll be honest, some of the Geek Tank episodes don't age well. Things we mocked as conspiracies that have been proven true.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, hey, in a minute, Brandon, we want to share your heartwarming tale of great customer service. But wrapping up, we were talking about the Crosstown Concourse in Midtown over there on Cleveland Avenue, and really just what a surprise it was to people like me that thought it was a terrible idea. And I know they kind of fought an uphill battle getting this done, but really there's no denying it's a success. There's people as far as I know, there's a waiting list for people that want to live there. The
True.
businesses are full. It's a great environment. I do know that a lot of tourists, there's a point. I've watched different tourism videos. People make it a point to drop by the concourse when they come into town. So hats off. They did a great job.
Well, one thing they really did learn is in a self-contained environment, it's kind of like a casino.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you need. I've heard from people that do actually live there, they forget to leave the building for like a week at a time.
You can go. Well,
the restaurant's there. You can run downstairs, get you a quick snack. Then you can run over to the entertainment venue.
Go to the art gallery. Go sit in the lobby and do your computer work.
Well, at least one friend of the show we know both works and lives in the building.
Craig Brewer lives there.
Yeah, and forgets on occasion that, there's an outside world.
Yeah, no, it's great, and we really think it's just a jewel of Midtown, and we hats off to everybody that put the Crosstown Concourse together, because like we said, it was an uphill battle. But Brandon, this is let's shift gears. This is your favorite time of year.
It really is.
And it's funny because really for you and Allan, Halloween it's really a year-round thing, but now we're in crunch time.
We hit spooky season on September 1st, and it ends on November 2nd, which is when you should throw your pumpkin away.
Okay. That's a hard and written rule for you.
No, you don't throw them away. You eat them.
No. If they've been carved and been sitting out there for a while, you don't want to eat them.
They're full of slugs and everything.
Throw them away.
I mean, I understand you like cuisine of a different nature, Allan, but that's a different story.
So, Brandon, what happened, man?
Okay, so there is a very sought-after skeleton on the market today. It's superposable, and it's almost impossible to find. I was perusing a certain big box hardware store's website, and they happened to say that there were some in stock nearby. I ordered one to be shipped to the store and held. And it told me the order's ready, and I go in the next morning to pick it up. They can't find it. I had approximately an entire shift of people searching the store for this skeleton.
Wow!
And they
wanted to help
super
you.
courteous. They wanted to help me. Everybody, a lot of people just dropped what they were doing. They go, well, it might be over here. It might be over there. Unfortunately, I did end up leaving the store without it, and they were very apologetic. It had been released to me, so they put it back in the system, said they were going to keep it in the system until if they didn't find it, they'd get me one in. I get a call later that day. Now, I work nights, so, of course, that morning I was asleep. I wake up to a phone call letting me know that they had found it. I went to go get it, and not only had they found it, they knocked 25% off for my inconvenience.
Wow. I didn't know that when you talked to me before.
Well, that was the thing is I didn't find out about that until I saw the refund on my bill through my email.
Okay, now Brandon, you are really a Halloween aficionado. I feel like we got to get you to drop in when we get a little closer to give decorating tips. But
I will definitely be doing that.
Okay, but why is this? What were the features of this particular skeleton?
So
that made it so
I'm gonna throw this out to the geeks who listen to you because of our other show.
Okay.
Hyper articulated action figures, things that you can put into any pose you've seen them in the movies. Usually a Spider-Man figure. This skeleton has almost as many articulation points as that. There are 3 ball joints in the spine alone. One at the skull, one at the collarbone, and one at the pelvis. Every one of the fingers has the same joints your fingers have.
So you could put something in their hand and it'll hold it.
Which my main reason for wanting this is I do a cemetery scene every year, and I need a Grim Reaper, and the skeletons that they provide so far do not grasp a scythe. This one can.
Allan?
All right. When you decorate, it is amazing the conversations you can have about articulated rabbits, bunnies, flags, skeletons, turkeys. When you really get into decorating for the holidays and seasons, especially Halloween, because that is when you can really let your weird fly.
And plus, it's different than decorating for Christmas. A lot of Christmas decorations, are in the house, or a decent amount of them. But for Halloween, a lot of them are outside, and you got to think about weather, wind, jerks driving by and grabbing them and stealing,
True.
So
the great thing about my neighborhood is most of the people in there have those big, tall cast iron fence, that just looks gothic.
Yeah.
I've got them on either side of me. So they literally have to come into my yard to get to anything. And by that point, my dog's got a view on them.
Your dogs will have something to say. But you were taken aback, you told me.
I was, because, I've worked, I've worked in retail before, and it's hard to give people the customer service they want or they need. And to watch these crew members go out of their way, because normally you got a thing and they're like, well, we can't find it. We'll see if we can get it ordered. And if not, we'll cancel the order so you don't get charged.
Right.
And that's usually the last thing you hear. If it shows up, it shows up. If it doesn't, they don't really care. These crew members went above and beyond for something as ridiculous as a skeleton.
Well, I just wondered if any of them are like, okay, really, you can't just grab that one over there, and then you sound like a real nerd when you're describing why this one has to be.
Well, no, that was the other thing is the merchandisers in that area knew exactly why that one's more important because it is more expensive than your typical, $20 could just set it anywhere.
And I gotta say, this is the only time of year that you and the cashier can giggle over the fact that you just set a bag of rats down on the cashier stand.
Yeah, it'd be funny too if they have to do. Can I get a price check on the bag over the speakers?
Do you know how hard it is to get a price check on burlap sacks, Joe? It's not easy because the tags don't stay on them.
Well, I will say this: I probably go to one of those. There's 2 major big box stores that I attend. I'm there almost every day. I've, for the most part, always gotten great service with those. I mean, most people want to help you if you ask the right questions.
Right.
And, don't just wander aimlessly, especially if you're an informed consumer like Brandon and you know exactly about the 50-point articulated skeleton that you're looking for.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right. Well, hey, Brandon, we will definitely have you checking in when we get much closer to Halloween and get some tips. But it's time to get out of here, you guys. The time, the clock waits for no one. So another interesting episode of Tool Talk Radio is in the can. On behalf of my buddy Allan Gilbreth, our pal Max over there behind the glass, Jay Hill, who sat in with us, Brandon Olmstead, I'm Joe Thorderson. Thanks for listening to Tool Talk Radio, and we'll see you next week.